Childhood in the 70s and 80s was a world of simple joys, strange gadgets, and unforgettable moments that feel like they belong to another lifetime. From gum that lost its flavor in seconds to roller rinks glowing with neon sticks, these memories shaped who we were. Let's step back into that era when life felt slower, louder, brighter, and relive the things only Gen X truly remembers. I still remember carrying my metal lunchbox to school, decorated with superheroes or cartoons. Inside was a little thermos of milk or soup, clinking gently as I walked. That lunchbox wasn't just for food. It was a badge of pride, showing who you were that year. Shrinky dinks were magic to us. We'd color those flimsy plastic sheets, then slide them into the oven, faces pressed to the glass. Watching them curl and shrink felt like a miracle. Holding the tiny hardened creations afterward, we felt like little artists making treasures from nothing. Oh, the smell of mimeograph paper. Teachers handed us fresh worksheets, still warm and damp, the purple ink leaving its scent in the air. We'd press the page to our noses, giggling, not knowing it wasn't healthy, just enjoying that strange, sweet schoolroom smell. Tang was something special because they told us astronauts drank it in space. We thought sipping it made us explorers too. The powder never fully dissolved and it left your tongue gritty, but to us, every orange glass held the taste of adventure. We loved collecting wacky packages stickers, those silly spoofs of real products. We'd trade them at recess, laughing at the goofy names and hiding them in schoolbooks. They felt a little mischievous, like a secret club where we laughed at grown-up brands in our own kid way. Back then, McDonald's had its own cast of characters. Mayor McCheese, Grimace, and the Hamburglar lived in colorful playlands where we'd run wild. It felt like a carnival with hamburgers in hand and cartoon mascots smiling at us as if we were part of their little world. Saturday mornings belonged to cartoons, but in between, we got Schoolhouse Rock. Catchy little songs taught us about history, grammar, or math without us even realizing it. To this day, I can still sing some of them. Learning never felt like learning. It just felt fun. Roller skating rinks were magical places. The disco lights spun overhead, the air smelled of popcorn, and the organ music filled the air. We'd skate hand in hand with friends, sometimes falling, always laughing. It was freedom, fun, and a little bit of childhood magic under flashing lights. When Atari came along, we all gathered around the TV to play Pong. Just 2 paddles and a bouncing dot, but oh, it felt like the future. The living room became an arcade, and we cheered each other on as if that little dot was everything. Big wheels were the ride of choice. Those bright plastic tricycles rattled down sidewalks as we pedaled with all our might. The front wheel made us feel fast, unstoppable. Racing friends around the block, skidding into driveways, it was our first taste of independence on 3 wheels. Pop rocks were a wild invention. Pouring them on your tongue, they fizzed and crackled like fireworks in your mouth. We'd laugh and dare each other to eat more, half afraid we might explode. It was silly, harmless fun that made candy feel like an adventure. Tab was the soda everyone's mom seemed to drink, with its pink can and promises of being diet. It tasted a little funny, not quite sweet like Coke, but we'd sneak sips anyway, trying to feel grown up. To us, Tab was the flavor of sophistication. At school, scratch and sniff stickers were prized treasures. Teachers gave them out for good work, and we'd trade them like currency. Grape, pizza, bubblegum. Pressing your finger across the little circles released the scent. Our notebooks became a patchwork of smells, memories clinging to the pages. Even bottle caps were treasures to us. We'd collect them from glass soda bottles, trading the colorful designs or stacking them like coins. They clinked in our pockets, proof of sodas we'd shared on hot afternoons. Such small things felt priceless back then, little tokens of friendship and fun. Polaroid cameras were like magic. Snap a picture, wait a minute, then shake it in the air as the image appeared. We'd crowd around, laughing at crooked smiles or silly poses. No waiting for film to be developed, memories appeared right in our hands, fresh and instant. Making mixtapes was a true labor of love. We'd sit by the radio for hours, finger on the record button, waiting for our favorite songs. Each tape was carefully crafted, songs chosen for friends or crushes. It was our way of saying what we couldn't put into words. Rotary phones sat in the kitchen, tethered by long, twisted cords. We'd dial numbers slowly, fingers circling the wheel, listening to the clicks. The cord stretched across the room as we whispered secrets. There was no hiding, no texting, just your voice and the sound of a busy home. Drive-in theaters were magic on summer nights. Families packed into cars with blankets and snacks, the giant screen glowing under the stars. Kids in pajamas played before the movie started, then dozed off in the back seat while parents watched. Movies under the open sky felt like an adventure. The sit and spin was one of those toys that looked simple, but never got old. You'd sit cross-legged, gripping the wheel, spinning yourself faster and faster until the world blurred. Dizzy and laughing, we'd topple over, only to climb back on for another whirl. Folding notes into little footballs was an art in itself. We'd write secrets, fold the paper just right, and flick it across the classroom when the teacher wasn't looking. Passing notes felt like a game of espionage, a hidden language only we understood back then. I'll never forget the Christmas when Cabbage Patch Kids came out. Parents lined up for hours, some even fighting in stores just to get one. We kids didn't know the chaos behind it. We just hugged those dolls tight, believing they were truly born for us. Banana seat bicycles were our prized possessions. With those long seats and tall handlebars, we felt like kings of the neighborhood. We'd pedal down the block, wind in our hair, sometimes with a friend perched behind us. Those bikes weren't just rides, they were freedom on wheels. Every Christmas the Sears Wish Book arrived, and oh, what magic it held. We'd flip through page after page, circling toys we dreamed about, imagining them under the tree. That catalog wasn't just paper, it was a doorway into childhood wonder and holiday hope. Mood rings were little mysteries on our fingers. We believed the shifting colors showed our feelings, blue for calm, black for worry, green for joy. Of course, it was just heat, but to us, it felt like magic jewelry that whispered secrets about our hearts. Star Wars action figures were treasures. We carried them around in little plastic cases, each slot holding a hero or villain. On living room carpets, we built epic battles with TIE fighters and X-Wings. For us, the galaxy far, far away fit right into our hands. In school, we gathered around those old Apple II computers to play Oregon Trail. The green screen flickered as we hunted buffalo or lost someone to dysentery. It was clunky and slow, but it felt like an adventure, a chance to journey west without ever leaving our classroom. Roller derby came on late at night, wild and fast. Women raced around the rink, shoving and elbowing, the crowd roaring. To us kids, it felt half sport, half show, but it was thrilling. We'd imitate them in the driveway, pretending our skates could make us stars too. Late Bright was a box of glowing dreams. We'd poke colored pegs into black paper, then flip the switch and watch our pictures glow. Stars, houses, flowers, suddenly shining with neon light. It was simple, but the magic of making the dark come alive never faded. Making calls from payphones was an adventure itself. You'd stand in a booth with a pocket full of dimes, dialing friends or asking for a ride home. Sometimes we'd try collect calls, rushing our name so parents wouldn't get charged. It was connection on a budget. I still remember the very first broadcast on MTV, Video Killed the Radio Star. We had no idea how big it would become. Watching music come alive with pictures felt revolutionary. Suddenly, every band had a face, every song had a story, and we were hooked. Stretch Armstrong was unlike any toy we'd seen. We'd pull his rubbery arms as far as they'd go, daring each other to stretch him more. Sometimes he'd snap, goo oozing out, but until that moment, it felt like we held something indestructible, a toy as tough as we dreamed to be. Glow-in-the-dark stars covered our ceilings, turning bedrooms into galaxies. We'd lie in bed, staring up at constellations we'd arranged, drifting off with the universe above us. It was comforting, magical. Even if the adhesive peeled paint when we grew older, the memory of sleeping under stars stayed forever. Chewing gum was an art. Bubble Yum, Hubba Bubba, big soft squares that begged to be blown into bubbles. We'd compete to see who could make the biggest, sometimes popping them all over our faces. Sticky cheeks and laughter went hand in hand with those simple contests. Trapper keepers were the coolest thing you could bring to school. With their bold designs and Velcro flaps, they clicked shut with satisfaction. Inside, folders and paper kept our notes safe, but really, it was about style. Carrying one meant you were organized and just a little bit cooler. Before Blockbuster, little VHS rental shops popped up in neighborhoods. Rows of tapes lined the shelves, handwritten stickers on the boxes. Families would browse together, picking a movie for the weekend. Walking out with that black plastic case felt like carrying a night of magic home. Jarts, or lawn darts, were backyard fun with a dangerous twist. We'd toss those heavy metal-tipped darts into the air, aiming for a plastic ring. Somehow, no one got seriously hurt, though we came close. Looking back, it's a wonder our games were ever sold in toy aisles. Before cassettes took over, we had 8-track tapes in the car. Big, clunky cartridges that clicked halfway through a song before continuing. It was awkward, but it was our music on the road. Sitting in the back seat, I can still hear the clatter as it switched tracks. Viewmaster reels were little windows to other worlds. We'd click through the plastic viewer, each frame popping into 3D, Disney scenes, travel destinations, cartoons. It was like holding a tiny movie screen in your hands. Every click felt like traveling somewhere new without ever leaving your bedroom. Troll dolls were strange little things with wide eyes and neon hair. We collected them in every color, lined them up on desks, and rubbed their heads for luck. Ugly and adorable at the same time, they were silly companions who somehow brought us joy. Garbage Pail Kids cards were wild, funny, and a little gross. Each one had a twisted version of a doll with names like Atom Bomb or Leaky Lindsay. Parents hated them, teachers banned them, which made us love them even more. Trading them at recess felt rebellious and fun. On hot summer days, nothing felt better than using the Snoopy snow cone machine. We'd crank the handle with all our might, turning ice into little shavings, then drizzle syrup on top. It melted too fast, but those messy, colorful treats tasted like pure happiness. Before cable remotes, we had pay TV boxes with a single sliding switch. You'd push it forward or back, hoping to land on the right channel. It felt futuristic at the time, like we had control of the whole world right from our living room couch. Mattel's handheld football game was just blinking red dots, but to us, it was thrilling. We'd huddle around that tiny screen, guiding the little light across the field, imagining touchdowns and glory. No graphics, no sound, just imagination and excitement in the palm of our hands. Tang wasn't just a drink, it was an experience. We'd dump the orange powder into a glass, stir until our arms ached, and still find clumps floating around. It never mixed right. But we didn't care. Every sip felt like we were part of some astronaut adventure. Kool-Aid was summer in a pitcher, just a packet of powder, sugar, and water stirred in a big plastic jug. We'd gulp it down by the cupful, red and purple mustaches staining our lips. "Oh yeah," wasn't just the mascot's call, it was how it felt to drink it. In school, film strips were a treat. The lights dimmed, the projector hummed, and the film advanced with that little beep. We'd wait eagerly for the sound, nudging whoever was on button duty to keep the show moving. It wasn't flashy, but those lessons felt magical to us. Simon was a marvel of light and sound. The circular toy flashed its colored buttons, daring us to follow the pattern. Red, green, yellow, blue. We'd concentrate so hard, trying not to mess up. Each victory felt like a triumph, as if we'd conquered a machine. Choose Your Own Adventure books gave us control over stories. We'd sit, flipping pages back and forth, making decisions like explorers or detectives. Sometimes we'd cheat, holding a finger in one page to test the other choice. It felt like we weren't just reading, we were living the adventure. Boom boxes ruled the sidewalks. Kids carried them on their shoulders, blasting breakdance mixes or the latest hip-hop. The sound filled the air, echoing across basketball courts and street corners. Music wasn't just something we listened to, it was something we lived, loud and proud, for everyone to hear. Walkmans changed everything. With those orange foam headphones, we could finally carry music wherever we went. We'd rewind cassettes with pencils, trade mixtapes with friends, and disappear into our own world. It felt private, personal, like having a soundtrack just for your life. Playing only for you. The Rubik's Cube took the world by storm. Bright colors twisted and turned, taunting us to solve them. Some kids figured out patterns, others peeled off stickers for shortcuts. Hours were spent turning that little puzzle in our hands, the sound of clicking plastic filling the room. The Smurfs weren't just on TV, they were little figurines, too. Saturday mornings were filled with their adventures, and we'd collect the tiny toys, lining them up like a village. They were cheerful, silly, and somehow comforting. Blue friends who felt like part of our everyday childhood lives. Malls weren't just for shopping. They were playgrounds, and arcades were their heart. Rows of Pac-Man, Galaga, and Donkey Kong machines blinked and beeped, quarters stacked on the glass as we waited our turn. The air buzzed with excitement, each high score feeling like a personal victory. Swanson TV dinners were a treat, served in foil trays with neat little compartments. We'd peel back the cover and poke at mashed potatoes, Salisbury steak, and a brownie that always came out too hot. Eating in front of the TV made it feel like a feast. Fuzzy posters were everywhere, black velvet outlines begging to be filled with neon markers. We'd sit for hours, carefully coloring in tigers, rainbows, or fantasy scenes. When finished, the picture glowed on the wall. It wasn't just art. It was our imagination shining in fluorescent colors. Sea monkeys were the biggest mystery. We saw ads in comic books promising magical little creatures that would swim and play. We mailed away full of hope, only to get tiny brine shrimp in a plastic tank. Still, we believed they were special, like a secret pet society. Stirrup stretch pants were the style back then, with little straps looping under our feet. They kept everything snug and smooth, paired with oversized sweaters or bright tops. We thought we looked fashionable and grown up, strutting around in them, even if they weren't always the most comfortable. Jelly shoes were the height of summer fashion. Clear or glittery plastic, they looked magical on store shelves. But once the sun hit, they stuck to your feet, squeaked with every step, and left little blisters. Still, we wore them proudly because everyone else did too. CB radios were everywhere, even for families who weren't truckers. We'd sit in cars, listening to the chatter, tossing out phrases like "tend for good buddy," just to sound cool. It felt like a secret language, a way to connect with strangers rolling down highways at night. Free to Be, You and Me, was a TV special that stuck with us. It was filled with songs and stories teaching kindness, equality, and being yourself. As kids, it felt gentle and hopeful, reminding us that we were free to dream and free to grow into whoever we wanted. Leg warmers were everywhere after Flashdance. Bright colors pulled over our jeans or tights. We felt stylish just like the dancers on TV. Even if we couldn't dance a step, slipping them on made us believe we were part of something bold, new, and exciting. Glow sticks lit up our nights at roller rinks and concerts. We'd crack them, shake them, and wave them in the dark, the neon colors glowing against flashing lights. Holding one made us feel like the night itself belonged to us, glowing with endless energy. Cheese in a spray can was a marvel back then. We'd shake it up and spray it onto Ritz crackers, making little towers of orange fluff. It wasn't gourmet, but it sure felt fun, an instant snack that made us feel fancy in a kid sort of way. We made paper fortune tellers at school, folding notebook paper into little cootie catchers. With flaps and colors, we'd predict each other's futures, who we'd marry, where we'd live, silly things like that. It was innocent fun, little paper games that held endless possibilities in our young hands. Rock'em Sock'em robots were thrilling. 2 little plastic fighters stood in the ring, and we'd smash the buttons as fast as possible, trying to make the other robot's head pop up. When it did, we'd cheer like champions, proud of our plastic boxing victory. Saturday mornings meant sugary cereal in front of the TV, cartoons blaring, and then Schoolhouse Rock. Those songs about history and grammar slipped into our heads without us even realizing it. With a bowl of Fruity Pebbles or Frosted Flakes, learning and fun blended into one sweet memory. Presto Magic's rub-down transfer sets were magical to us. We'd peel back sheets filled with characters, press them onto a background scene, and rub with a pencil until they transferred. Suddenly, we'd created our own stories. Each set felt like building a little world, one rub at a time. Opening a fresh can of Play-Doh was unforgettable. The soft dough, the bright colors, and that smell. Sweet, salty, and oddly comforting. We'd shape animals, food, or silly creatures, then smash them and start over. Play-Doh wasn't just a toy, it was imagination in a little yellow tub. Creepy Crawlers kits let us pour goo into metal molds and bake them into squishy bugs. The smell of hot plastic filled the air, and we thought we were scientists making creatures come alive. They weren't pretty, but they were ours, little monsters born in the kitchen. Mall hair was a style all its own. We teased and sprayed our bangs high, coating them with hairspray until they seemed indestructible. Walking through the mall, everyone's hair reached for the ceiling. It may look funny now, but back then, bigger really did mean better. MTV's Headbangers Ball was wild. Late nights filled with loud guitars, long hair, and heavy metal videos that made us feel rebellious. We'd watch in awe, air guitaring in our bedrooms, dreaming of being rock stars. It was loud, it was bold, and it felt like freedom. Red Rover was the king of playground games. 2 lines of kids, arms locked tight, calling one another to break through. We'd run with all our might, sometimes breaking the chain, sometimes bouncing back. It was pure fun, even with the scrapes and bruises that came with it. Clackers were dangerous fun. 2 hard plastic balls on a string. We'd swing them until they smacked together, clicking loudly. The goal was to keep them going, but more often they'd smack into our wrists or faces. We laughed through the pain. Fun sometimes came with bruises. Atari cartridges were temperamental. Sometimes the game wouldn't load, so we'd blow into the cartridge, believing it fixed the dust. Magically, it often worked. We thought we were tech geniuses, reviving Pac-Man or Space Invaders with just a puff of air. Simple tricks made us feel smart. K-Tel record commercials filled our TVs with music. They promised hits, one after another, scrolling across the screen while snippets played. We'd sit, mesmerized, writing down song titles we liked. Those commercials weren't just ads. They were our gateway to discovering music we didn't know existed yet. Swatch watches were a craze. Bright, bold, sometimes even layered 2 at a time on one wrist. They weren't just for telling time. They were fashion. Kids compared designs at school, showing off the latest colors. A simple watch became a statement of who you were. Denim jackets became canvases, covered with pins and patches. We'd stick band logos, peace signs, and slogans all over them, making each jacket unique. Wearing one was like telling the world our personality without saying a word. It was art, fashion, and rebellion stitched into denim. Riding in the back of station wagons was a rite of passage. No seat belts, just kids sprawled out in the way back, waving to cars behind us. Long trips felt like adventures, with snacks, games, and laughter echoing in the car. Safety took a back seat to freedom. Slip and slides turned backyards into water parks. We'd sprint, dive, and slide across the slick plastic, sometimes flying off the end into the grass. The hose water was always freezing, but we didn't care. On hot summer days, it was pure joy, laughter echoing down the street. Before GPS, we relied on paper maps, big folding sheets that never seemed to fold back right. Parents argued in the front seat, twisting them around, trying to find the right road. For us kids, the maps looked like treasure charts guiding us to hidden places unknown. Mr. Yuck stickers were everywhere in our kitchens. Bright green faces scowling on cleaning bottles warned us not to touch or taste. They scared us a little, but we remembered them. Those goofy, angry stickers were the way parents kept us safe before child-proof caps ruled the shelves. Speak and spell felt like the future. That robotic voice teaching us how to spell words was both exciting and eerie. The orange plastic gadget made us feel like we were learning from a computer straight out of Star Wars. It was education, but it felt like magic. Cassette tapes tangled constantly. When the music warped and stopped, we'd grab a pencil, stick it in the reel, and twist until the tape wound back in. Somehow, that little fix always worked. It was frustrating, funny, and part of the soundtrack to our childhood. Banks gave us penny coin sleeves, and we'd sit for hours filling them. Carefully stacking shiny copper into rows, we felt rich when we finally turned them in. Counting pennies was slow, but back then every coin felt like treasure, and saving was half the fun. Mad Magazine fold-ins were genius. A full-page cartoon that, when folded, revealed a hidden joke or twist. We'd crease the pages carefully, laughing at the clever punchlines. It was irreverent, silly, and smarter than we realized. Those fold-ins were the highlight of every issue we bought. Skee-ball was the star of arcades. Roll that wooden ball, aim for the big points, and watch the tickets spill out. We'd trade them in for plastic rings or rubber spiders, proud as if we'd won gold. It wasn't the prize, it was the thrill of winning. TV was packed with commercials for miracle products. Ginsu knives cutting through cans. Ronco gadgets promising, set it and forget it. We watched in awe, half believing they'd change our lives. Those ads were cheesy, repetitive, and unforgettable, burned into our memories like late-night jingles. In 1985, We Are the World was everywhere. The voices of stars came together for a cause, and radios played it nonstop. We sang along, even if we didn't fully grasp its meaning. It felt powerful, like music could heal the world if we believed enough. Saturday night meant a trip to the video store. We'd scan the aisles, pick a VHS blockbuster, and carry it home in that plastic case. Waiting for rewinds, fiddling with the VCR. It was effort, but the joy of movie night with family made it worth it. Dippin' Dots felt like food from the future. Tiny frozen beads of ice cream that melted on your tongue. They showed up in malls and blew our minds. We weren't sure if they'd last forever, but for a moment, dessert had become something magical and space age. Velcro sneakers changed everything. No more knots or laces, just slap the straps across and run. Kids felt invincible with the rip sound echoing on the playground. It was quick, cool, and easy. For a while, Velcro really did feel like the end of shoelaces. The Pepsi challenge was everywhere. People blind tasting Coke and Pepsi in malls, pretending to be scientists of soda. It felt exciting to see which side won. We didn't care who actually did. We just wanted to sip free soda and feel part of the big debate. Nerds candy came in 2 flavors per box, and we'd pour them straight into our mouths. Tangy, crunchy, and colorful, they rattled in the box like little treasures. They weren't just candy. They were a sugar rush packed into tiny crystals that defined every trip to the store. School desks always hid secrets underneath. Gum hardened to the metal, initials carved with pocket knives, even old notes stuck in corners. As kids, we all checked, disgusted and amused before sitting down. Desks told the story of every student who came before us. Marathon bubble gum was a long, twisted strip in a bright wrapper. We'd chew with excitement, but the flavor disappeared almost instantly. Still, it was about the size, not the taste. Chewing on that endless rope of gum felt like an accomplishment in itself. Pong consoles were the first taste of video games for many of us. 2 paddles, 1 bouncing dot, endless hours of beep and boop. Hooked up to a wood-paneled TV, it felt revolutionary. Simple as it was, it brought the arcade right into our living rooms. Mimeograph test papers were a school staple. Teachers handed them out warm, the ink still damp. We'd lift them to our noses, inhaling that sharp, sweet chemical smell. It sounds strange now, but back then, that scent meant something new. To learn had arrived. Rollerblades burst onto the scene before anyone called it inline skating. Sleek and fast, they made us feel like futuristic speed demons compared to old roller skates. Suddenly, sidewalks turned into racetracks, and everyone wanted a pair. It was a craze that rolled through childhood. Posters of teen idols covered bedroom walls. Whether it was pop stars or TV crushes, we'd kiss the glossy paper, dreaming of romance. It was innocent, silly, and deeply personal. Our walls were more than decorations. They were secret shrines to the people who made our hearts race. Collect calls were expensive, so we'd cheat the system. Say your name lightning fast in the intro, "Mom, come get me." Then hang up before charges applied. Parents got the message. We avoided the bill. It was resourceful, funny, and pure 1980s problem-solving before cell phones existed.